It's Breeders' Cup week, guys, and this is the first of 5 videos that I'm going to be doing discussing the races on Breeders' Cup Friday. We're going to start with the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint and go all the way through to the Juvenile over the next couple of days. So keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for everything else we've got going on the channel. Without further ado, I'm Jessica Tugwell, and this is the Pedigree Puzzle. All right, we got to be looking forward to Future Stars Friday. It is the day of the 2-year-old juvenile races for the Breeders' Cup, and there are a lot of talented young runners who are going to be trying to stake a claim here. And I am very excited to get to see the future stars of our industry on display. And we're going to start today with the Juvenile Turf Sprint. And here is a rundown of the field. It is a field of 12 with 3 also eligibles. They're going to be going 5 furlongs on the turf at Santa Anita. And we're just going to go through the field. We're going to talk about some highlights on each horse, mention the pedigree a little bit, and then at the end, I'll give you my selections and how I see this race shaping up. So let's go ahead and start with the 1, Crimson Advocate. This is one of the fillies in here. There's quite a few. And she's 2 for 2 going 5 furlongs on the turf. She was 3rd in her debut, going 4.5 on the dirt. But she hasn't been seen since June 21st when she won the Queen Mary Stakes at Ascot. So there's a little bit of a layoff there. However, George Weaver is 24% off of this lengthy layoff. And she's by a Kentucky Derby winner, Nyquist, but out of a stakes-winning sprinter called Citizen Advocate by a Proud Citizen. So no worries there about the distance, and she's already proven that 5 furlongs on the turf is her game. She definitely looks like a contender in here, and she is one of the many who can expect to see some pace from out of the gate. Then the 2 is No Name Metz, and this is a colt whose only loss in 4 starts came in the Norfolk Stakes at Royal Ascot, where he was prominently placed but ended up finishing 9th. He's by No Name Never, who was a champion 2-year-old in France and finished 2nd in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, so no worries there. And his Dame Étoile by Warfront was a Grade 3 winner going 6 furlongs at 2, so that's also pretty sprinty. And this is another one who looks like could be showing some speed in here. Next is Tiger Bell. She's the winner of the Grade 3 Prix d'Aurenberg last out at 5 furlongs. And her sire, Cotai Glory, was a stakes-winning sprinter ages 2 through 5. So you got sprint and precocity there. And her dam sire, Acclamation, was also a sprinter who won from 5 to 6 furlongs. She's looks like she could definitely be one of the contenders in here. One of the longer shots of the foreign contingent, however. Then Big Evs, who is the morning line favorite at 3 to 1. His highest career time form figure of 104 that he got in his last start, the Flying Childers Stakes, is absolutely the best in the field. But there's, something to look back at. A small chink in the armor would be that race 2 back where he was 14th in the Grade 1 Nunthorpe Stakes. But, I mean, other than that, he really hasn't done a whole lot wrong, and he's certainly bred for this trip. His sire, Blue Point, was a stakes-winning sprinter from 2 to 5, and his dam sire, Oasis Dream, was a stakes-winning sprinter and English champion 2-year-old. So again, you got sprint, you got precocity there with Big Evs. This is definitely one who I think you have to include on all your tickets. Then we have the 5, Gimme the Beat Boys. And he's shortening back up to 5 furlongs, which was the distance of his debut win after a few tries at 6 furlongs, including 2 Grade 1 attempts in his last 2 starts. His sire, Bungle in the Jungle, was a stakes-winning sprinter at 2, and Dame Dramana was a router, but she was by a stakes-winning sprinter in Dutch Art. And this is a horse who, spoiler alert, I think has a big chance in here. His time form ratings have been real consistent. He got a 95 last time out, which makes me think that maybe there's a little bit more. And I think that he could be one who is close to the pace without being right on the lead and could get first jump on some of the later closers. Moving on to number 6, Starlust. This is a half-brother to the stakes-winning sprinter Queen of Desire. He was last seen in the Group 1 Middle Park Stakes, where he finished 5th behind Van Dijk. But prior to that, won a Group 3, the Mission Serenia Stakes by a head on the all-weather surface. And it does have a win on the turf going 6 furlongs. This is actually going to be the shortest that he's ever raced. But his sire, Zoostar, was a stakes-winning sprinter at both 2 and 3. And his dam was a stakes winner at 5 and 6 furlongs by Grade 1 Group 1 winning sprinter Invincible Spirit. Then we have Shards. Shards was just beaten by a neck last out in his first attempt against Stakes Company, and his sire Bucaro was a great turf sprinter from ages 3 to 6. He is a half to a 2-year-old stakes winner going 6 furlongs on the dirt, so there is still some precocity there. And this is a horse who, you know, he's a long shot in here, but it makes total sense for them to take a chance. The two horses that just beat him by a nose and a neck last time out are in here again, and he could definitely, with these 2-year-olds, they can always pop up with a big effort. Moving on, number 8, Cherry Blossom cuts back to 5 furlongs after being beaten 2 1/4 by Porto Fortuna in the Group 1 Sheafley Park last time out, and it has been close to the pace in her last 4 races, so she could be another one who is relatively close. Her dam is a half to 4 stakes winner, including ARC winner Rail Link. So there's a little bit more route on the bottom there for Cherry Blossom, but she is by No Day Never. She debuted at 5 furlongs where she finished 4th, beaten a length and a quarter by Tiger Bell, actually. Moving on, number 9 is Amidst Waves, and she's a nose away from being undefeated in her 4 turf starts. She got just beaten in that Indian Summer Stakes by committee of 1 last time out, where she just outfinished Shards. She's by Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner Midshipman, who has sired the brilliant turf sprinter Lady Shipman. And her dam's 3 wins all came sprinting. And she has 2 wins at this 5 furlong distance, and then a win in that close second at 5.5. So no worries there about the trip or the surface. Moving on, number 10 is Valiant Force. This is the winner of the Group 2 Norfolk Stakes, going 5 furlongs at Ascot in June, and was well beaten in both 6 furlong efforts. So it looks like this shortening back up here to 5 furlongs is the move for this son of Malibu Moon. Now, Malibu Moon, as a rule, is a little bit more route-oriented. The average winning distance for Malibu Moon's offspring is 7.13 furlongs. But with those 2 poor efforts at 6 furlongs, I'm definitely not worried about the distance from Valiant Force based just on that. His dam was unraced, and his second dam was a stakes winner from 7 to 8.5 furlongs on synthetic. So again, by pedigree, you would think maybe 7 furlongs a mile would be more Valiant Force's game. But from his performances, we're looking at the opposite. He was a big long shot, 150 to 1 in that Norfolk Stakes win, but won by a length and a quarter. So that wasn't, I don't think that was necessarily a fluke. In that other 5 furlong race on debut, he got beat just 3/4 of a length. So this is a horse who I wouldn't talk you off a horse like Valiant Force in this spot. 11 is Slider. His Beyer speed figure regressed 10 points last time out when winning the Speakeasy Stakes. He had gotten an 86 for his maiden win, 2 back on the dirt, and then just a 76 for that Speakeasy win. But the winner of another race on that card, which we'll talk about in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf video, also saw a huge Beyer speed point regression. And actually all speed figures that I've taken a look at show a regression for both of these horses. So I don't know if that's a case of, did both of these horses win these races despite doing worse on turf than dirt? Or is the speed figure not to be trusted? That's the question I have with Slider, and then later on in the card with Dreamfire. I think that it's an interesting pattern that they both showed that regression in their first time on on turf, despite winning their races. His sire, Jimmy Creed, has gotten graded stakes-winning turf sprinters. You have multiple Grade 1 winning sprinter Casa Creed, as well as Private Creed. And Stam was a stakes-placed winner at 2, but that was going 8.5 furlongs on the dirt. So maybe a little bit more distance might be in order for Slider, but I don't know. I think this is a good spot for him. He's 8 to 1 on the morning line, showed speed last out, but also stalked just off the pace in that maiden win. So if he needs to, I think he can tuck in a little bit from that. We're getting to the outside there for this 5 furlong sprint. And next is Committee of 1. He's coming off a win in the Indian Summer Stakes, which was actually his maiden breaking score after finishing second in both of his attempts at the maiden special weight level. His sire Mendelssohn won the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, and his second dam was a half to Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies winner Sweet Catamine and Breeders' Cup Distaff winner Life is Sweet. So there's definitely quality and precocity in the pedigree for Committee of One. This 5 furlong trip is going to be shortening up a little bit for him, but he's come from off the pace, and it certainly looks like there's going to be a decent pace set up for him in here. We're going to take a quick look at the also eligibles as well, since it's just Wednesday morning, and who knows what could happen if these horses could draw in. The 13 is Hedwig. He was a debut winner and then was beaten less than a length in the Kentucky Downs Juvenile Turf Sprint last out by just 3/4 of a length. We're also going to take a quick look at, hold on. We're also going to take a quick look at the also eligibles here, since as the time of recording, it's only Wednesday morning and a lot can happen between now and Friday afternoon. So the 13 is Hedwig. This was a debut winner who was beaten just 3/4 of a length last out in the Kentucky Downs Juvenile Sprint. His sire, McLean's Music, has gotten Grade 1 winning sprinters like Jackie's Warrior and Drain the Clock. And his dam was stakes placed going 9 furlongs on the turf as a 3-year-old. This is a horse, his speed figures are a little bit behind the rest of the group, but there's certainly some quality here in the pedigree. 4, I did not look up how to pronounce this horse's name. I'm sorry, so I'm going to go with Asin. She was a winner, of 2 5-furlong turf stakes in Ireland, but was a non-factor last time out in the Cornwallis Stakes at Newmarket. Her sire, 10 Sovereigns, was a Group 1 winner, going 6 furlongs at both 2 and 3. And Damsire Zoffany got a Grade 1 win, going 6 furlongs at 2. So there's certainly precocity here for a scene, and has 2 wins, second and 2/3, going 5 furlongs. Just a little bit of a disappointing effort last time out. That's a bit of a head scratcher here with this horse. And the 15 is April Vintage. Pretty unlikely to draw in, but who knows? She was 3rd behind Slider in the Speakeasy Stakes last out, and her sire Vino Rosso was a winner going 7 furlongs on debut, so there is a little more precocity here than you might think, even though Vino Rosso was best at 4. Her first 2 dams are unraced, but 3rd dam at the half was a graded stakes winner at 2. So again, there is some precocity there, but this is another one who would need to show some speed figure improvement, you would think, in order to really be a factor in here. So overall, let's take a quick look at the field. As you can expect in a 5-furlong turf sprint with a bunch of juveniles, there's a ton of speed in here. But I think that isn't necessarily, doesn't mean necessarily chuck all the speed out. It doesn't mean that Crimson Advocate can't win just because she has to go from the rail, but that is a horse who I would like a lot more. I would feel a lot stronger about if she was drawn a little bit further outside, where she could have at least a little bit of options and not have as much of a chance of ending up behind horses. Sometimes these front runners, they can stalk. They'll be all right if you put them outside of another horse, but behind. And she did pass horses on debut, so that is a good, promising sign for her. But there's definitely some opportunities for traffic issues breaking from the inside. Big Ebbs is the horse to beat, and I can't imagine leaving him off of anything you do. But my top pick in here actually ended up being Give Me the Beat Boys. I really liked his time form figures and the progression that he showed in that last race, even though it wasn't a win. He's been, well beaten in his Group 1 attempts, but I would think that the type of horses that were beating him there in, that was Great Britain and Ireland, I think that those types of horses would be heavy favorites here. So at 15-1 on the morning line, I think that he's worth a shot on top here, but you have to use Big Ebbs, and I think that Crimson Advocate also makes a ton of sense, is a really talented filly for George Weaver. So those would be my picks in the Juvenile Turf Sprint. Let me know who you like in this race. It's absolutely wide open. There is a lot of ways you could go if you really wanted to, and especially with verticals. I mean, I could see you could throw in, I think, horses like Slider could definitely pick up a piece of it, Valiant Force, even a horse like Shards, who has been putting up some speed figure progressions in his races, which is a theme that you'll see me come back to a lot in these videos. I like to see that in these 2-year-olds. I'd like to see the development because they are young and they're going to just keep improving. So that's my opinion on this race. Let me know what yours is in the comments below. Keep an eye out for all of the things everybody else on the channel is doing. We got full field rundowns. We got the Pick 5 Players Show. We've got a lot going on. And keep an eye out on Breeders' Cup Friday. We're going to be doing that 24+ hour live stream, starting with the Juvenile Turf Sprint on Friday and going through the sprint, the final race, on Saturday. So tune in. I'll be there very early morning Saturday and all day Friday. So keep an eye out for that. And until next time, thanks for watching.